Hello friends, I am Shivaji Bhaskar, Faculty of Russian at the School of Foreign Languages, IGNOU. I welcome you all to this course, Basics of Russian Communication Skills Part 1. As you are already aware that in our previous modules, we have discussed about various concepts of Russian grammar, in which we have covered various aspects like the Russian alphabet. We have also seen certain cases where we have conjugated the verbs. We have also started about the case system, in which we have covered the nominative case as well as the prepositional case. Since we are dealing with the prepositional case, now in this module we will be discussing about the certain use of akom and achom. If you remember, we have also discussed about how the gender of the noun determines the ending of the adjective. Like in this case as well, you will see how the ending of the noun, whether it is in masculine gender, feminine gender or neuter gender, changes as required by this case. Alright, so in this case we will be discussing about various changes in the ending of the noun, and we shall discuss about various words combination depending upon the gender. So we have normally two questions. First, we have seen in the nominative case is кто, whereas in the prepositional case, when we are saying about whom, we say о ком. So now I would like to request you all to pay attention to these words, and we will be changing these words as per the requirement of the prepositional case while having the question ком. Alright, so let's have the first one. The first word is drug, which means friend, changes into, when we have the question о ком, means a друге. So friend changes into a friend or about friend in Russian when we have this question о ком. So a друге. Then we have the next one is brat, which means brother, changes into a brate. Then товарищ, a товарищ, director, a director, student, a studente, Ivan, ab Ivan. Why ab Ivan? Because Ivan starts with a vowel E. Alright, so I hope you remember the concept well. Now the last one is Chekhov. A Chekhov. Chekhov, you know, it's a very popular author of the Russian literature. Chekhov has written enormous amount of Russian literature, plays, etc. So we will be discussing about authors in the dedicated modules. Till then, please pay attention to these words. Alright, now let's go ahead. So here we have another list of words. These words belongs to the masculine gender, so we are dealing with the words which are of masculine gender. Please pay attention to the change when we are changing into the question achom. Alright, in the previous session, previous part, you have seen how we are changing the words which belong to the animate, and now we are changing in inanimate. So we have question что, we have words like университет, changes into ob университете. Why ob? Of course the same concept, because университет starts with letter U, which is a vowel. So the next one is we have город. Город changes into a городе. Then we have magazine, changes into a magazine. Then we have штат, changes into a штате. Завод changes into a заводе. Урок changes into об уроке. Institute changes into об институте. Alright, now let's go back once again and see how the meaning of these words come when we change it into from кто to о ком. So друг, friend, changes into a друге, about friend. Brat means brother, changes into a brate, means about brother. Товарищ means fellow or friend or colleague. Товарищ changes into a товарищ, about colleague or fellow. Director, director changes into a director. about director. Student, student changes into a studiante. Ivan, the name Ivan changes into ab Ivania. Chekhov changes into a Chekhov. Let's go ahead and see how these inanimate words in nominative form changes into a chom inanimate form in prepositional. So universitet is university, ob universitet about university. Gorod, a gorod about city. Magazine means shop, a magazine about shop. Stat means state, a state about state. Zavod means plant. When we say zavod, plant means industrial plant. Zavod changes into zavod about plant. Urok means lesson, aburoke about the lesson. So ob because u is a vowel. Institute, institute, ob institute about institute. So I hope this fundamental is clear. We have seen how from kto to akom and from shto to achom we have changed the nouns of the masculine gender. This exercise is important so that you prepare yourself with the combination of these different words and identify them whether they are animate or inanimate. Alright, okay, now let's go ahead. Here we have the case 2, where we will be using certain words where we use the soft sign, because we have been talking about the Russian alphabet, where we have talked about vowels and consonants, and we also need to remember that we have two signs as well. However, the number of words having the soft sign is much more than the words having the hard sign. Alright, so first we will look at some of the words which are of masculine gender and how they change into when we change the question from kto to akom. So the first one is pakupachil. Pakupachil means shopper or buyer changes into apakupachilya about buyer. Zrichel changes into zrichilya means viewer. Sluchat means we already know is to listen. So slushchil means audience changes into a slushchilya about audience. Shto, and then we have question achom. Here we will see some words which are of masculine gender in nominative case changes into achom in prepositional case. So the first one is slavar. We already know the meaning of slavar is dictionary, changes into a slavarier. Then portfolio means briefcase, a portfolio. Now we have spectacle, so it changes into spectacle. Spectacle is spectacle or play, changes into a spectacle, about spectacle or about play. So now we will pay attention to the case 3, where we will have the words of masculine gender which ends with e kratki. Alright, so far we have learned that words which ends with hard ending or the consonant, they are of masculine gender. Alright, but we also need to keep this fact in mind that there are some words which are having soft sign at the end, but they belong to masculine gender. Some of the words which ends with e kratki, they are also masculine gender words. So we have to note them down in order to understand, remember them, use them in our communication so that we can understand the nuances of Russian grammar easily, and as and when required we can change them as per the requirement of different cases. So in this case, please pay attention to these words which ends with I kratki. So the first one is muzей. It's in nominative case. Muzей что? О чем? О музее. So I kratki changes into ye. Tramvai. So it changes into a tramvai. Tramvai changes into a tramvai. I kratki is being replaced by ye. And then cry. A cry. So here you can see that museum, about museum, tram, about tram, and cry, region, about region. So these kind of changes you can also see when you change particular word of a particular gender into akom or achom. Okay, now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the words which has E and E kratki ending. Okay, so sanatori. Sanatori means sanatorium, changes into a sanatori, about sanatorium. Next one. So these are certain cases where you will find that many words, whether they might look different, they might have different endings, but they belong to the same category of nouns which of masculine gender, and same is the case with feminine gender and neuter gender. So every gender in Russian language has a very big list of words, vocabulary of many words which might not look similar, but they are of that particular gender. Like we have just seen, some of the words which are ending in soft sign, they are masculine gender words. Some of the words which ends with E kratki, they are also words of masculine gender, and we have seen the last one with E kratki ending, it is also a masculine gender word. So whenever we are changing from shto to akom and achom, depending upon the nature of that noun, whether animate or inanimate, we have to be very clear about the usage of that question achom and akom. So whenever about a person or a living thing, we have to use the question akom. Whenever we are talking about a thing or an object, the question has to be achom. Alright, so things are absolutely clear. Now we will pay attention to some of the questions in the form of a dialogue, so that you have clear understanding that how do we use these two questions. So the first one we are going to have is the neuter singular noun answering the question achom. Because you have seen the masculine and neuter, they have similar style of changing when we talk about the endings in this case. So the first one is, please pay attention, achom znает brat. About what knows brother? Brat znает о письме. Brother knows about letter. So pismo, when we talk about the word, the ending of pismo is with o, so it belongs to naturally neuter gender. Alright, srednyi rod. That is why here we can see that the ending of this noun is very similar to the ending of any word of masculine gender, like brat, bratye, drug, druge. Here you can see pismo, however, ends with o but changes into pisme. Alright, okay. So the next one is о чем рассказывает отец. About what father is narrating or narrates. Отец рассказывает о море. Море. So here father is narrating about more. Here you can see that the word which are ending with ye, they do not change, they remain same in neuter gender. Alright, the next one is о чем разговаривают студенты. About what students are talking about. So студенты разговаривают об общежитии. So the word is общежитие. In place of ye we have e. Общежитие is replaced with e. Students are talking about hostel. So I think these three examples are very helpful in order to understand how do we change the noun endings in case of prepositional case when we have O. And of course, we are also talking about akom and achom. So here you have seen that we have used three examples where the question is of achom. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the words of neuter gender where the words are ending with O but replaced by ye. How do we do that? Let's see. Slova, aslovye, akno, abaknye, pismo, apisme. So word changes into a word. Akno means window, changes into abaknye because the word akno starts with O, vowel. So abaknye. Pismo, apisme. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead. Here we will see some of the nouns of neuter gender which ends with ye. Polje, cafe, more. So polje remains a polje, cafe remains a cafe, and more remains a more. So it doesn't change. So please keep this fact in mind. Words which belong to neuter gender which ends with ye in case of prepositional case when we use a, the ending does not change. So polje, a polje, cafe, a cafe, more, a more. Alright, so I hope this concept is absolutely clear. Now let's go ahead. The case 3. For neuter singular nouns ending in ea, because we also have some words, right, in neuter gender which ends with ea, like общежитие, здание, задание, предложение, etc. So in this case, let's see what is the change if we use o. Zdanie changes into a zdani, so ea changes into ee. Zadanie changes into a zadani. Предложение changes into a предложение. Общежитие changes into общежитие. So here we have seen zdanie, building changes into about building. Zdanie changes into task into about task. Предложение, assignment, about assignment, and общежитие means hostel changes into общежитие, about hostel. So you have very clearly seen in this case how the ending ea changes into ee, whereas in the previous part we have seen the words which ends with ye like more, pole, they remain same. Okay, I hope this is clear. All right, now let's go ahead. Here we have certain cases where you will find these words, they remain absolutely same. So like palto remains a palto, taxi remains a taxi, they don't change at all. Okay, so now let's go ahead. So now we will discuss about the feminine gender. As you have already seen, how do we change from nominative to prepositional, especially when we are talking about akom and achom. First concept which we already know is that we have to differentiate between animate and inanimate nouns. Now, since we have already done the masculine and the neuter, in this case we will talk about the feminine gender words. So before we start, I would like to tell you all to please pay attention to certain words, and then from kto to akom we will see the difference, how they are changing. So the first word we have is padruga, When we change from Padruga to the prepositional case, when we use akom, it changes into a Padruga. So what is the basic difference do we see here is that the ending of the word Padruga, which means a, is replaced by ye. So Padruga changes into a Padruga. Okay. Same is the case with other words like sistra in Djevushka. Sistra in Kto changes into a Sistre in Akom. Djevushka changes into a Djevushka. So let's learn the meaning when we change from Kto to Akom. Kto это подруга. Who is this? This is female friend. О чем вы думаете? Я думаю о подруге. About whom are you thinking? I am thinking about my female friend. Likewise, you can use сестра and девушка. For example, кто это? Это сестра. Who is this? This is sister. О ком вы говорите? About whom are you talking? Я говорю о сестре. I am talking about sister. Then we have девушка. Means girl. Кто это? Who is this? Это девушка. This is a girl. О ком говорит Антон? Антон говорит о девушке. So the question is about whom Anton is talking. Then the answer is Anton is talking about a girl. So likewise, you can also make numerous such sentences where you can use the verbs which we have done in our previous modules, like думать, говорить, and many other such. But what is the requirement? The requirement is that first you have to identify the noun whether belongs to animate or inanimate. The second thing is that you must know the conjugation of that particular verb in order to make a correct sentence. Alright, now let's go to the second case in the feminine gender when we change words from feminine gender from kto to ako. Let's see. Okay, now let's go ahead. Here you have a list of words of feminine gender like fabrica, комната, Москва, America, школа, деревня, and статья. So all these words are inanimate words. Fabrica is a factory, комната is a room, Moskva is the name of city, Moscow, America is America, школа is school, деревня means village, and статья means article. So here you can see we have three kinds of endings. The word which ends with a, like fabrica, комната, Moskva, America, and школа. Then we have the second type of word of feminine gender which ends with ya, like деревня and статья. Let's see how these words change when we frame the question from что to о чем. Фабрика о фабрике, комната о комнате, Москва о Москве, Америка об Америке, школа о школе, деревня Ajirevne, Stachya, Astachya. So here you can see that all these words of the feminine gender, whether ending with a or ya, are changing into ye at the end, like fabrica or fabricia, stachya or stachya, right? So this concept is clear to you. Now we will go ahead and pay attention to the next concept. We have already done the masculine gender, the feminine gender and the neuter gender. So these three genders we are using. Now we are helping them to differentiate whether the noun is of masculine gender or the feminine gender or the neuter gender. We already know the basic very well, that words which are ending with hard consonants are masculine gender words or nouns, like drug, brat, director, student, Ivan, Chekhov, etc. Then we have seen the words which ends with soft sign. Let's go ahead. So the next case which we have is, we have already seen that the masculine gender words or nouns which ends in hard ending, like drug, brat, tavarish, etc. We have categorized them as animate, like drug, friend, brat, brother, student, Ivan, etc. And likewise we have placed O when we are changing them into akom. Then we have seen that they are changed as a drugya, a brate, a studiante. Now we will see that how from sto to achum, which are the words we have, like universitet, we have magazine, we have uro. When we are changing them from sto to achum, we see that universitet changes into ab universitiace, urok changes into ab uroke, and likewise all these words which you can see. So the basic purpose is that we are revising the words as per their gender, in this case masculine gender, and in this we are differentiating them as animate or inanimate. When we have animate, the question is kto or akom. When they are inanimate, the question is sto and achum. Okay. Then we have seen certain examples of the masculine gender where the word ends with soft sign, like pakupachil, zrichil, slushachil. So they also change from the soft sign goes away with ye, like pakupachil, pakupachilya, zrichil, a zrichilya, slushachil, a slushachil. And certain questions which are of inanimate nature, like slavar, partfil, they also change into aslavaye, apartfil. So the rule remains same. The only difference is, while framing the question, we use kto or sto. Alright, now we have seen the words which are of masculine gender but they end with e kratki, like mujhe, tramvai. Here we have also seen that e kratki goes away with ye. And likewise we have seen the words like sanatori which ends with e kratki. There e kratki is replaced by e. We have also seen some of the examples of the neuter gender, such as words like more remains same. However, some of the words like slova, IGNOU, pismo, their o is replaced by ye. Then we have seen that how in the feminine gender some of the words like padruga, इस तरह a is being replaced by ye. So, in overall case, we have seen the basic rule is that whether the word or the noun is feminine, neuter or masculine, the rules are same. The only difference is that you have to be very careful about differentiating them as animate or inanimate. I hope you enjoyed this module and all the concepts are clear. Now we will be discussing about further other details in our next module. Thank you.